Warning. This video contains heavy spoilers for the anime Neon Genesis Evangelion and the anime movie End of Evangelion, and it also contains light spoilers for the rebuild of Evangelion movies. If you haven't watched them yet, do so, because Evangelion is an amazing anime, and then return to watch this video. This video also contains some cringy in real life segments that serve as a way to introduce some lore about my channel. If you like them, watch them. Otherwise, if you don't like them, just skip to this part. These are just supposed to be an experiment I had in mind for a while by now. Also, don't leave hateful comments if you don't like them, and don't be an ass. Hi there! God, I love summer. You can wake up whenever you want. The cicadas, or should I say, the higurashi are doing their thing. And plus, there's no school. Well, time for a new video. Speaking of which, I wonder what day is it? Happened again! God damn it! I haven't uploaded a new video since December! Ah!
こんにちは。
Ah! Ah, Mayura, is that you?
どうしてそんなに長く眠っていたの？寂しかったよ。この数ヶ月間、話せる相手がいなかったんだから。
You have Kuro, you know that, right? Yeah, like the animal thingy.
まあ、すぐに飽きちゃうし、PC で君のファイルを見るのにもうんざりしてるんだ。
You what?
何？
So anyway, is my station ready? It's time to do another video.
もちろんそうです。ずっと PC のウェブカメラでそれを見ていましたから。
I should have the script for my new iceberg video around summer. Maybe it's here? No.
これをお探しでしたか？
Eva videogames. Okay, thank you, I guess, but where is the script of the new iceberg video? The one that I started to write after that guy left a comment on my Conquer video. Like, where is it? Where is it? ？Encrypted my script?
まあ、そんな感じだったかな。待って、そうしたのは、ニーヤオートマタの生みの親である横尾太郎が、次のエヴァアニメの監督を務めると発表したからだよ。だから、これならもっと再生数が稼げるかもって思ったんだ。 もちろん、そういうことだよ。
That information is old by now.
6ヶ月間眠り続けると、そうなってしまうのです。
You encrypt my files and then you roast me? Remember me why I have you on my PC.
私もそれは覚えていません。
Okay, let's do this Eva video. I'll come back in like maybe say 2 minutes. I'll be here, okay? Wait for me.
わーい。
Okay. You. Gotcha. Okay. The Blu-ray of Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.11, which is completely blank. Ah. Guess who's back? Back again. Licensed video games, which are video games based on movies and TV shows, are a thing you don't see that often nowadays, but back in the late 90s and early 2000s it was a common thing to find Wall-E the video game for the PS3 alongside the GTA 4 at a video game store. Every big movie release had a movie tie-in game. You want a game based on Monsters Inc? We've got you covered, mister. Want a Minority Report game? Sure, get it in stores now! Want a Chicken Little game? I mean, if you really want to, I guess there is one. There are two Chicken Little games, actually. Why does Chicken Little have a 60 FPS boost and backwards compatibility with Xbox Series X, while Crash to Insanity can't even be played there? I think you get the idea. But that's the thing though, you don't see them anymore now, except for a few of them, because most of them sucked or were made as fuck. Most of them were platformers, since most of them were targeted at kids, and this wouldn't be a bad thing if it wasn't for the fact that most of these were terrible to control, clunky as hell. The story most of the time followed the one from the movie and had AMVs of said movie in there, which really clashed with the in-game graphics, and after a bit it felt like your brain was shut off and leaking from your ears. Of course, this is just a part of them. There were some good licensed games, some of them were actual masterpieces like Alien Isolation, but they are just diamonds in a pile of crap. Not to mention that most of the worst games of all time were tie-in video games. Want an example? Superman for the N64. Yeah, look at this gameplay! Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, Evangelion. I don't want to explain what Evangelion is. I mean, if you clicked on this video you probably already know what it is and have already watched it in full, and if you haven't, what are you doing here? Watch the anime and then come back to view this video. It's on Netflix. You can also pirate it if you want. I don't care, just watch it, please! As it turns out, Neon Genesis Evangelion has quite a surprising amount of video games. I mean, so a thought came into my mind. What if I talk about the Eva video games in excruciating detail? As it turns out, it was a really bad idea. Translating the word of Evangelion into a video game is pretty difficult. I mean, okay, the show has giant mechs used to punch in the face other gigantic beasts, but if you remember correctly, most of the angels in the series were literally one-shotted, and then you have to write each character in a good way to cover the other important part of Eva, its characters. So if you wanna do a fighting game, good luck in adapting the fights that lasted like a Crash to Insanity speedrun. Or if you wanna do a visual novel, the fighting part is lost, missing a big part of Evangelion. You can say I was pretty scared of going into this rabbit hole, which you are correct. So as we'll see soon, most of the games either make a new story entirely, or try to adapt the story in their own way. Or they'll just go batshit insane. That's also an option. Like seriously, stick around because you're gonna see some weird stuff later. Also, it's important to bring up the fact that most of these games are in Japanese, and I can't understand Japanese, so I had to use Google Translate most of the time, which doesn't work that great, and all of these games span across multiple consoles. I was lucky enough to get this Eva video game in my hands, but I'm not spending all of my money to get all of these games physically. But enough with this intro, I want to cover these goddamn games, and I know you want it too, so it's finally time to begin. Also, I'll be leaving out the cell phones games because this video would be like 30 minutes more longer, and I don't care about mobile games. I've also splitted the games into 3 parts, visual novels, action games and miscellaneous. I only realize now that this was a bad idea because I could have just gone in order of release date, but it's too late to change that, I suppose. Our Evangelion journey starts with this game right here. Okay, here it is. Oh my god. Unfortunately though, this game is for the Sega Saturn, that means that I can't play it since I only have a Japanese Dreamcast. Sorry, I guess. It's actually pretty good though. Like look at this thing. It's in mint conditions, okay? Like, whoa. Let me open this for you. Look at this. It's magnificent. Shame that the game isn't magnificent. So, for the footage of the game, we're going for YouTube videos. You know, I actually played the game, but I couldn't record the gameplay off of my screen because my PC sucks. And, you know, officially I can't say that I have pulled a Jack Sparrow move. Neon Genesis Evangelion, also known as NGE First Impression for its 1997's re-release, the latter of which is the one that I'm holding in my hands, is the first Evangelion game to be released. And from the first glances at the gameplay, oof, it doesn't look all that great. Eva First Impression was made by Sega for their Sega Saturn console. Sega played quite a big role in Eva's history. They were one of the companies that produced the series in exchange for merchandising opportunities. That also meant video games, of course. If you have ever wondered why was Asuka playing a Sega Saturn in an episode of the anime, or why was Sega featured in the opening logos of End of Evangelion, now you know why. It's because they wanted to market their console, a move which totally paid out. I mean, the Saturn was a big success, right? The game started being developed while the anime was still being produced, so we can see some early ideas that didn't make the cut in the final product, as well as some differences. For example, Ray's Eva is still yellow and not blue. We also have the announcer going which was meant to be the eye catcher of the anime before being substituted by the one we all know. The overall tone of the game is also much more light-hearted than what we would eventually see in the series, since, you know, the developers at the time thought Eva was going to be similar to other match animes. Yeah, of course, about that. But enough preamble, let's talk about the actual game. Shinseiki Evangelion is basically a visual novel filled with AMVs and some strategic turn-based RPG elements thrown in. I don't think there's a better way of describing it. The game is structured like an episode of the anime. It even has the full opening sequence when you boot it up. The game takes place between episodes 8 and 9 and is a completely new story. After a tough battle with an angel which was created for the game, Shinji wakes up in a hospital and he has amnesia. I mean, it's a classic way to get the players invested in a story since they're about to be thrown in a world that neither them nor the protagonist know what to expect. But still, I don't think it was that good of an idea for the first video game in the series to have the protagonist suffer from amnesia. Shinji nonetheless. But hey, this was done so Shinji can have misunderstandings with people at school, so we can have some cringe scenes like this. They did my boy dirty. Understandably, the first thing that Nerve does once they discover Shinji is okay at least physically, they immediately make him fight Asuka in a training fight. Depending on the result of the fight, Shinji will be sent in 3 different story paths. If he manages to defeat Asuka, the game would feature a more combat-oriented path. If Shinji loses the fight, the storyline will be much more lighthearted, focused on his school life, and if the fight ends with a tie, he'll just say fuck it and wander around Neo Tokyo 3 while Rei and Misato try to convince him to get back. Throughout the game, there will also be more choices to make, and in addition to the performance in the fights, it will lead you to one of the 15 possible endings in the game. Well, technically there are 3 main endings, while all of the others are just small conversations Shinji can make with the characters instead of 3 endings. The game is also interesting for 2 main reasons. The first one is its AMV's sequences. Sometimes they reuse really compressed footage from the anime, and in classic Evangelion fashion, they tend to reuse many animations a lot. But for the majority of the time, the game has new animations, and it's really interesting to see them. The other interesting thing, as I've said before, is that this game was made when the anime was still in its light-hearted part, and with much of the story not even finished yet. That's why we, knowing what happens in the anime, can find some pretty out-of-place scenes that would not fit the series in the slightest. For example, Shinji and the others can sing a karaoke song, and Ikari can be a romance option. Poor Toji! Or should I say, GET CACKED, Toji! In the third route, the one that ends with a tie, Shinji returns to school, and thinking that Hikari is his girlfriend, he kisses her, making her blush. Ikari obviously makes him go away, and Shinji begins his divorced homeless life at the tender age of 14 years old. There are also some other plot points such as Shinji, Toji and Suzuhara forming a band, and having to choose a vocalist between Asuka and Hikari. Let's now quickly go over the 3 main endings. The best that you can achieve sees Shinji safe on a hospital bed, recovering, right after having defeated the angel. It's revealed that he has regained his memory, although it's also revealed that he has lost the memory regarding the events of the game. How convenient! Before the ending ends, he can have interactions with Rei, Asuka, Hikari and so on, also depending on which choices you made in the game. There is also another ending in which Shinji beats the angel but doesn't regain his memory, and another one where he just runs away and says he doesn't give 2 cents about the word dying because he doesn't get in the Eva. Let's now see the combat part of the game. The combat gameplay is handled in 3 different phases. In the first one, a slot machine pops up with both Eva and Angel faces on the reels. The character with the most faces on the slot machine's payline when it stops gets to attack first during the second phase. If the player loses, he can still attack and do a lot of damage, but I hope they have nice reflexes, because only if they manage to make the right commands in time they can attack, which is really difficult to pull off. The R button is used to make an attack if the enemy is far in the distance. The L button is used to attack when the enemy is near. If the enemy has an ET field, then the player must draw the progress knife of the Eva by pressing the left button of the D-pad. If the enemy does not have an AT field, you must press the right button to use a firearm. The down button is used to execute a melee attack. It is mainly used when the player does not know what action is to perform, and therefore serves especially the new players. There is a synchronization gauge that gets filled up as the fight progresses. If the synchronization rate between the Eva and the pilot reaches 85%, the player has the option to perform a special attack by pressing the up button. If the angel makes an attack, the player must press the right button on the D-pad to dodge the attack. To choose which button, a danger announcement will appear at the top, bottom, right or left of the screen. Depending on the type of attack, the player can also deploy their AT field or perform other actions. They can also counterattack if they are fast enough. In the third phase, you can move your Eva through a very bare bones map representing Neo Tokyo 3. You can also move your Eva away from the enemy, and if you manage to land on a blue square, Shinji's synchronization with the Eva will increase. Repeat for the rest of the game. And with that, we have covered Eva First Impression. Honestly, I didn't really like this one that much. Like, don't get me wrong, the game has its moments, but it has badly aged. You can see it from just seeing the gameplays. The AMVs look awful by today's standards and the audio is really bad. Also, I don't like the combat system, I don't like the slot machine phase and so on. It was interesting to see how they adapted the things from the show, but that's it. All in all, you can skip this one if you want, but it sure as hell is an interesting piece of Evangelion history. If you're curious, play it. Like, it's interesting to see how it is, but don't expect it to be mind-blowing or anything. Released in 1997, a week before Evangelion Death and Rebirth's release and taking place right after episode 14, Shinseiki Evangelion's second impression takes the concept of the previous game, acting like an episode of the anime, and improves many aspects of it. The game is now much more polished and improves in every area that the first impression lacked. The AMVs look just a tiny bit cleaner, and this time the battle sequences are all made in 3D with some actually decent models. Sega marketed the hell out of this game, even more than first impression, and it received much more press in gaming publications in Japan. This was also Sega's most successful game based on Evangelion, and it is more widely known than First Impression. Let's now cover the combat system. While I praise the fact that this time they have polygonal Evas, something that I really appreciate for a sucker of late 90s graphics like myself, the combat has been completely redesigned. It has been greatly simplified, leaving a lot to be desired. This time we have no slot machines and no third phase. We only have attack and defend. Why? I don't know. My guess is that they took a look at the Pachinko phase, scrapped it, and the budget that would have went in implementing that mechanic, which was of about 1,600 yen, I bet, went in the like 10 Pachinko Eva games, seeing how much playing those games makes me lose faith in humanity by how much they suck. Trust me, we'll get there. The battle screen is composed of a target indicator focused on the angel. There is a colored line on the indicator that shows the angel's current state. If the line is orange, the angel is about to attack, so be ready to press A, aka the defend button. If the line is green, the angel is not attacking, so shoot at the thing. If the line is green with a red dot, the angel is not attacking, or the weakness has been found. You must key in the attack when the cursor is in the green area. If it is outside this area, the attack might hit the angel, but it won't do as much damage. It might even miss entirely. Sometimes the green targeting indicator might have a small red section marked out. This is the ultimate attack zone. Stop the cursor within this red region or very close to it. This will cause the angel to have 3 explosions rather than 1. You just have to time your button press so the cursor stops right at the red region. That's it. I mean, what do you want me to say? That there are various weapons that basically do the same thing? The plot this time has greater stakes than the first game. A new student, Mayumi Yamagishi, transfers to Shinji's school. She's really quiet and shy, and somewhat similar to Shinji. One day they happen to bump into each other in the school library. Like literally. Yamagishi's books scatter on the floor, and Shinji helps her. Then they begin to have a conversation, and it seems like they have a sort of chemistry together. The game continues, and eventually another angel is spotted. This angel is called the Insubstantial Angel, and once again, it's another angel designed exclusively for this game. The Eva pilots are called in to stop it, so the battle begins. Mid-fight, Shinji notices Yamagishi on the ground and carries her to safety, and he resumes the fight with the angel, which eventually gets beaten. As the days go by, Shinji gets closer and closer to either Yamagishi, Rei or Asuka. No Ikari this time. Eventually, he and Mayumi find themselves walking together to school one day. However, while walking, she puts a hand on her abdomen. Thinking that something is off, Shinji offers to help her, but she dismisses the issue and they continue to walk even if Shinji is a bit worried about her well-being. The next day is the day of the school festival. However, it gets interrupted because the same angel as a few days ago returns, even more powerful than before. It's discovered that he undergoes metamorphosis to make the weapons of the Evas less effective. The pilots try to damage the beast, but they can't do much, so they are forced to retreat. Mayumi, while all of this was happening, was experiencing severe pain in her abdomen, and it's revealed that the core of the angel is inside of her, and the only way to destroy it is to kill her. offer that Shinji refuses to accept. Mayumi then tries to take her own life by jumping off of a building, but Shinji catches her before anything bad could have happened. Eventually the pilots manage to defeat the Angel, and Mayumi wakes up in an hospital with no injuries. The game ends with her transferring to another school, saying goodbye to Shinji. And this is Eva's second impression. It gets darker than the first game, but not nearly as dark as what we saw in End of Evangelion. You know. Of course I've left out a lot of content like dialogues with Asuka and Rei, and all of the other characters that we all know. We also have the usual different endings depending on which character you grew more closer and closer with. For example, there's the Rei ending where Shinji and her go eat something, which is a really cute scene, I'll admit. Yeah, I'm a Rei fan. Asuka is a bit... Girlfriend of Steel is one of the most famous Eva video games, and you certainly have already seen something that comes from this game. You don't believe me? Okay, how about I show you this? Or this? They come from this game. Awesome, I know, it almost makes you feel great that you are spending hours of your life that you won't get back talking about 20-plus-year-old licensed video games, right? The game was made by Gainax this time, and not Sega, and was put on PS1, Saturn and PC. This game also has an English fan translation. Finally I can understand what Shinji and the others are saying. As I mentioned before, the game ditches all of the RPG elements of the other two games. Now this is officially a visual novel, complete with MIDI soundtracks of the various musics from the anime, and still images. Not even the AMV sequences were spared. It also manages to feel like a real episode from the anime, even more than the two other games that were supposed to be fanfiction episodes. With this one, it really feels like you're seeing a lost episode OVA that was released in a game format, and I really like this feeling. Also, we'll take a look at the PC version because that's the one that has the translation. Girlfriend of Steel starts with Neo Tokyo 3 being attacked by an unidentified object in the middle of the night. And oh my god, Asuka, what the fuck? Gainax! What the hell are you doing? Yeah, the people complain with the fan service of the rebuilds, but I don't see no one bring up the fact that we have Asuka flashing the fucking audience here. And yeah, this game also features a bit of fan service, like this isn't the anime so they could do whatever the fuck they wanted. I don't mind nudity in End of Evangelion that much, because in that case it's something that makes sense and has a purpose for the plot. You know, Shinji feeling like shit after seeing Asuka naked in the hospital and doing the only thing you shouldn't do to a comatose girl, or seeing Rei naked or seeing Misato getting clapped. It's also one of the themes that the movie has. The nudity, I mean, not Misato getting clapped. But in GF of Steel, it's used as a way to entertain the audience. Cool! Can I show this? So anyway, the premise of GF of Steel is similar to Second Impressions 1. A new transfer student arrives at Shinji's school, named Mana Kirishima. She immediately has sympathy for my boy Shinji, and tries to get close to him, causing Asuka to be jealous. Throughout some workarounds, aka Shinji is an idiot, or Baka, she manages to get inside the Nerve HQ. Of course, no cams are present to see who enters in what should be one of the most important places on Earth. Shinji has to take the usual Eva tests alongside Asuka and Rei. Meanwhile, Mana probably fucks around the place, I don't know. Also, I want to bring up the fact that there are parts of the game where you can explore various places. Nerve HQ is actually pretty cool to navigate through. You can also bump into someone sometimes, like Misato or the other Nerve operators. Also, Kaji supports Shinji and Mana's ship and tells Shinji to actually go for it. This is literally the next scene after Kaji tells him to do his best. In the next days, Shinji and Mana get closer and closer, and Asuka progressively gets more and more jealous, even coming to the hypothesis that she is a spy that wants to get closer to Shinji to take information about Eva's nerve and so on. So the usual stuff, basically. Nobody believes her, but it's clear that Mana isn't like the most innocent person at all. She wants to know about Evas from Shinji, and one day Shinji inside Eva Unit 01, while inspecting the unidentified object that has fallen into a lake, spots Mana on the ground looking at the crash site. But this gets sidetracked since they eventually go on a date and they kiss. Some days later, Shinji and Asuka visit the hospital because Mana said that she would have paid a visit to a friend of hers there. Once they all three meet each other there, Shinji grows a bit concerned about this mysterious friend Mana has never mentioned before, and combined with the spy thing that Asuka has been saying for quite a while by now, Shinji later confronts Mana about this whole situation, but she doesn't want to reveal anything, making Shinji feeling a bit betrayed and lost in the process. Next scene shows, yo, here's the image! In the next days, the spy conspiracy grows exponentially, and now they're talking about a war that will happen in like 6 years, because it's discovered that the fallen object is a prototype Eva made by a country, and if this attacks like another country, this could cause a war, something like that. Eventually, Shinji, Mana, Asuka, and Rei go back to the hospital, because Mana says that her friend inside the hospital was just killed. They all go inside, but then there are these FBI agents that try to gun them down. So to escape, they disguise as cleaning clerks. Then Misato kinda picks them up, and then there's a car chase. What the hell is happening? Eventually Mana reveals that she's a spy. Shinji gets depressed and confused, and she's taken away by Nerve. Oh hey, there's a Sonic mug. I'll be brief for the next events that happen because oh my god, I'm spending too much time on this game. Mana gets used as bait by the kidnappers to lure a copycat Evangelion into like the government forces or something like that. But the plan doesn't go as expected, so Shinji and the other pilots get in their Evas and try to stop the Eva copycat before an Enchu mine gets dropped over, exterminating everything, including Mana. Despite Shinji's efforts, the mine gets dropped, and it seems that Mana is truly dead. From this point onwards, Shinji has three choices. Either spend the rest of the day with Asuka and get the Asuka ending, where Shinji wants to burn a picture of Mana to let go of the memories, and Asuka tags along because she's a tsundere, that's why! You can get some heartwarming moments between the two. The Mana ending, where it's revealed that she somehow survived a fucking explosion and she's inside an hospital. Shinji somehow figures all of this out, basically kidnaps her, and then alongside Misato, Kaji and the others, they make her flee the scene and change her name. And then there's the Kaji ending, aka the meme ending. Kaji tells Shinji that Mana is alive and takes him to see her. The problem is that while driving, Misato and Asuka chase Kaji and Shinji's car because they don't want to make Shinji meet Mana, I think. Asuka brings out a megaphone and yells at Shinji to not do this unless he wants to not talk with her anymore. Then Shinji brutally friendzones Asuka and she yells at him. Then they stop and Kaji fucking points a gun at Misato. This image, I can't. Shinji eventually meets Mana again for some minutes and they promise to see each other again someday. The end. This game is certainly an experience. It begins like an OVA episode and then gradually descends into madness that feels a bit out of place for Evangelion. The best ending is of course the Kaji ending, no doubt in that. I'm also disappointed that Rei was on screen for like 5 minutes, which breaks my heart. But overall I enjoyed the game. If you want some more Eva weird stuff, definitely play this one. One last thing that I want to add is that there is an additional fourth ending in the PS2 and PSP versions where apparently Mana joins Nerve. So there's that. If you thought the previous 3 games were somewhat normal, well, oh boy! You aren't ready for what's to come later in this video. But for now you'll just get a taste of how weird things are going to get. But first a bit of context. To understand why this game exists, we have to take a few steps back. In 1993, Gainax was struggling. In 1987, they released their first anime movie ever made.
Royal Space Force, The Wings of Hanamis.
I've heard it's a great movie, but I haven't seen it yet. The budget for that movie was of 800 million yen. Sorry. The budget for that movie was of 800 million yen, equivalent to the amount you're seeing now on screen. Which is a lot. The movie, while being well received and becoming a cult over time, didn't make the money Gainax hoped for, thus already making the newfound company struggling to stay afloat. They would later find success with Evangelion, as you probably guessed, and you'd be correct. Except for one thing. You see, there was another project that helped Gainax to recover, and that was the 1991's game Princess Maker. Princess Maker is a series where the player is tasked to take care of a princess, basically managing her work, rest and free time activities. This game was extremely successful, spawning a handful of sequels that continue to this day, and is considered the basis for the child-raising simulation subgenre of video games. That, yes, exists. You're probably wondering what all of the above is for. Well, in 2001, Gainax decided to release an Evangelion video game with the mechanics of a Princess Maker game, and that game was Evangelion Ayanami Racing Project. Released for Windows 95 and then ported to Dreamcast, PS2 and other versions of Windows in the following years, it's probably the second most popular Eva visual novel. In this game, the player takes on a role of a young nerve officer, and he is charged to take care of Rei Ayanami by the end of Ikari's orders. As a game in the Princess Maker saga, it's up to the player to decide Rei's weekly schedule, balancing between education, nerve duties and free time activities, to raise different stats that affect both Rei's personality and the path that the story will take. You can also teach Rei some words and phrases that she can use in conversations. Sundays are dedicated to shopping, where the player can buy gifts for Rei. You can also buy her clothes, and she will wear them. You can also take Rei to some restaurants and eat with her various stuff. Since it's a quote-unquote visual novel, once again there are a lot of endings. There are the bad endings, which are basically what we see in End of Eva, and the good endings, where Rei becomes a policewoman, a nun, an artist, a maid with an AK-47 giving me PTSD of Akiba made worse, an idol, whatever the fuck is this image? And then there are the endings where you can groom Rei into a relationship. We are in our mid-20s, by the way, in the game. I'm starting to think Rei's life will be miserable no matter what. Why are we doing this? Is this legal? Throughout the game we can also talk to Maya, which is an old friend of the protagonist, and if she discovers you and Rei are a thing, she will have disgusted reactions to that. Jeez, I wonder why! But I mean, since I'm a Rei fan, having a game where I can romance her is actually pretty nice.
Police! Police! Help! Police!
Hey, I'm still 17 years old, I can't go to jail yet! The game had a huge success in Japan, and since it was a crossover between Gainax's most profitable anime and video game series, they marketed the hell out of this game. The multiple strategy guides were released, there were promotional contests or magazines where people could submit their Rei designs, and some of them were put on bonus promotional discs that were installable on the game. While Gainax handled the development, another Japanese developer called Broccoli, which will be important later on since they developed many other Eva titles in the mid-2000s, handled the various ports on the various other systems. They put the game on Dreamcast and PS2 alongside an expansion where the lieutenant can now groom sorry, I meant taking care of her. The DS version, which is based on the PS2 version, has also an English fan translation, so if you want to try it, there you go, I guess. They made another one of these? Oh my god! Before we talk about the game, let's just see the box art for a moment. These designs, man, they make my brain hurt. I don't like them. They seem like fan-made hentai from the mid-2000s. Come on, tell me it isn't true. They all have this overly cutesy face design. The eyes and mouth make me want to gouge my eyes out at Misato. Oh my god, what have they done to you? Please tell me I'm not the only one who hates these designs. Stepping away from my rant, the game is similar to Ayanami Racing Project. Who would have guessed? But surprisingly, I think I like more this game than the first one in terms of gameplay and not designs. Oh my fucking god, I don't want to look at Misato and Shinji and all of the others. The game takes place in episodes, kinda like the series, and this time it's Misato who has to look after Shinji, having to plan his week, race stats and so on. This game is a bit more complex than Ayanami Racing Project. The game starts off like the Eva anime, so with Shinji becoming pilot and so on, and depending on the various stats that you've managed to raise, the plot will split into 3 possible routes, each ending in different possible finales. Thanatos, the first one, follows basically the events of the show and EOE, ending with Shinji being on the desolate earth with the girl he managed to have the most high stats with in the game. The other possible endings include staying in the instrumentality while Kaoru speaks with him about his choice, and another one where the world continues without Shinji in it. Pathos is the second route. It's similar to Thanatos, but the anime's events are much more comedic in tone, and also the situations that happen are also comedic. Shinji and the other characters do a number of recreational activities to progress in the story, such as selling ice cream, camping, and synchronized swimming. Toji and Suzuhara become Eva pilots as well, culminating in the third impact being prevented. The ending involves around Shinji either getting a girlfriend, being alone, or revolving in a world without him in it. The last one, Campus, is kinda like what you see in episode 26 of the series, the slice of life that Shinji experiences in this instrumentality project. This route sees Shinji attending class in a universe with no Evas or angels present, living a normal life as a teenage boy, where the staff at NERV are now his teachers, and the original Evangelion series is just a fictional work written by him and Kaoru in class. Mana Kirishima, yeah, the girl from Girlfriend of Steel, is also now one of the students of class 2A, and Shinji's mother, Yui Ikari, is alive and away on international work. This path culminates in one of 2 ways. Either the player chooses to have Shinji end the Evangelion story with a happy ending in the new world, and the path will continue until episode 26 and give the player one of several campus-specific ending combinations, or they will choose to end it by returning to the original world, and the path will terminate on episode 24 and return to the Pathos route instead. Oh yeah, I haven't mentioned that you can jump in the different routes depending on the stats and the choices that Shinji makes. The game has also lots of endings where Shinji makes a career path and becomes an actor, a painter, a school teacher and so on, kinda like Ayanami Racing Project. No dummy Shinji this time, fortunately. This game also has the Eva battles, which are nothing special unfortunately. From my understanding, the angels will be defeated even if you lose your health. Either you smack them down before they kill you, or the Eva will go berserk when you reach 0 HP, and win that way. The battle system is like an RPG, you have to select an action for the Eva to perform, either attack, wait, defend, standard RPG stuff basically. Oh, and you can throw Enshu mines at the angel. There's also another mini-path where the protagonist is Kaoru. The gameplay is basically the same. This time it's Ritsuko that raises him, and his objective is to get close with Shinji, culminating in 4 possible endings. One where they get in love and free NERV, one where Kaoru reveals everything to Shinji about NERV and that he is an angel, one where Kaoru sacrifices himself after Shinji told him he couldn't leave NERV with him, and the last one where Kaoru sacrifices himself after Shinji failed to meet him. Shinji Ikari Racing Project may have a weird art style and premise, but I think that if you ignore these 2 things, you can find a bit of joy in playing it. Is what I would say if the designs weren't fucking atrocious! Please stay away from this game. Please stay away from this game. Do you remember GF of Steel? Good! Now imagine a sequel that doesn't feature the Girlfriend of Steel. Eva GF of Steel 2nd takes place in the alternate reality that we saw in episode 26 of the anime, the world that Shinji imagines while his mind goes crazy in the Human Instrumentality Project. Again? I think I'm having a deja vu here, guys. Yeah, this game basically is the pathos and campus route from Ikari Racing Project, if there was a whole game based on those ideas. When you boot up the game, you have this title screen with the most important characters of the game, Shinji, Rei, Asuka and Kaoru, and with the logo of Evangelion, which is similar, if not identical, to the logo used for the rebuild movies, which is interesting. But I'd say to actually begin taking a look at the game, shall we? Show me what you've got, GF of Steel Sec. Oh my god, Asuka! Ah! I kid you not, this is the first fucking shot of the game. Why does both games begin with Asuka fan service? But I guess she's not naked here, so it's an improvement. So anyway, the game starts with Shinji and Asuka being late for school. As you might have guessed, in this game we control Shinji Ikari through his life, which is much more happier than Evangelion's Shinji 1. Both his parents are alive. Asuka is his childhood friend, who is very obviously in love with him. Rei is a cheerful transfer student and not a clone of Shinji's mom. Misato is a teacher and Ritsuko is the school's nurse. Kaoru is another childhood friend of Shinji who also has a crush on him. Toji and Kensuke are both Eva pilots alongside the OG pilots and Kaoru. And Hikari has blue hair. At first, I didn't know why the game was called the GF of Steel 2nd, but right after I advanced in the game, oh my god if these menus don't seem familiar, especially while exploring Nerve. I had the sensation of seeing those options before. Eva GF of Steel 2nd is the game that inspired Eva Angelic Days, that spin-off series which takes place in the same slice of life scenario that we saw in episode 26 of the series. I think Angelic Days is probably the most well-known Eva manga spin-off. In it, it's basically Asuka and Rei that want to fuck Shinji so badly, topped with a lot of fan service, and I can certainly see what inspired this from here. And it's literally the same thing as the game. Basically, all the game revolves around is Asuka, Rei and Kaoru all wanting to get into Shinji's pants. Asuka is jealous at Rei is oblivious to this, and Kaoru touches Shinji in basically every scene he's in. There are three main routes that revolve around the three main characters, and you can change them depending on the choices you make. There are only two endings though, one where Shinji gets with Asuka and leaves Japan and goes to Germany with her, and one where he marries Rei and has a child with her. The game is pretty funny, I'll admit, even if it's basically a harem comedy. The characters bounce off each other really well. Kaoru is probably the best character in the whole game. There's literally no scene where he doesn't say something that has to do with Shinji and him. The game has also slice of life plot points such as Shinji and the others exploring caves, Shinji and Rei going on a date, and fighting angels. The final sequence of the game, before the final choice where you can choose your girl, has the 6 pilots fighting the angels, like 3 of them at once. They obviously succeed and everything's fine. And then one girl can earn Shinji's dick. And that was Eva GF of Steel 2nd, and what a journey! If you are traumatized by EOE and want a campy story about Shinji and his harem, or if you are a Reishin Azushin shipper, play this one. If you are a Kawashin shipper though, there will be content, but their route doesn't lead to an ending, and this sucks. And also this makes no sense, because in Ikari Racing Project, Kaoru and Shinji admittedly were in love, but this, like they don't even have a finale for Kaoru and Shinji. That sucks. I'm really sorry for the people who are into this ship, because I'm one of them too sometimes. I prefer Reishin, but also Kawashin is pretty good. So if you want a Kawashin ending, play Shinji Ikari Racing Project. I'm sorry, but you will have to deal with its weird art style. Good luck. Secret of Evangelion puts the player in the shoes of Kyoya Kenzaki, an old college friend of Misato, Ritsuko and Kaji, who is in charge of uncovering the various mysteries surrounding Nerve, the Third Impact, the Evas, and so on. As you might have guessed, the events of the game take place in NGE and EOE, and has a total of 10 endings to achieve. the ending that you will receive will depend on how much information you managed to uncover. The anime's events are largely the same, but told by Kyoya's perspective. The guy is described as very devoted to his work. He is level-headed and incredibly duty-bound to whatever mission he is currently on, something that Evangelion comments on in the beginning of the game. He has also, apparently, undergone an experimental transplant operation that used parts of an angel instead of a human. That happened because he was injured in the fight with Sachiel. Why did they do this specifically to him? That's a really good question. So anyway, the game goes as you probably already expected. Talk to the pilots, to the nerve stuff, to some of the new characters like Hitomi Kaga, who had an important role in creating the dummy plug system for the Evas, and so on. As the title suggests, there will be many secrets to uncover.
He said it! He said it!
There's a whole deal with a mandatory message sent by someone. At one point, our OC is instructed to basically steal the new and secret Eva Unit 04, which obviously goes berserk after being subjected to a test with the dummy plug system. And Kyoya has to convince Shinji to stop the thing. Then the events proceed similarly to what we've already seen in the OG series, and that's about it. I really like the art style, but just because they managed to draw something similar to the series, and not whatever the heck was the Shinji Ikari racing project trying to do. The story, I think it's entertaining, although I haven't understood it all because, you know, Google Translate, but I think that it's another one to consider to have a ride with.
その初号機よ。
エヴァンゲリオン初号機。父がこれを作ったんですか？
そうよ。そしてそれにあなたが
Detective Evangelion is a game which is set in a different world than the original anime. Shinji is a detective, which is called by NERV in order to resolve a mysterious chain of murders that is happening all across Neo Tokyo 3 and NERV HQ. Why NERV decides to hire a 14-year-old is beyond me, but I sure as hell find this more plausible than many of the things we're about to see later. This game also contains probably the most amount of blood out of any Evangelion thing that has ever been released. The game literally begins with Shinji having a dream of his father getting killed with blood sprawled all over his body. Every victim in this game has blood coming out of them. God damn it! Some of the first victims we see in the game are placed in the same way some Resident Evil zombies were placed in Resident Evil 2, with even more blood coming out of them. What the hell? Like, I don't have a problem with blood, mind you, but this is Evangelion we're talking about. I can only think of some specific instances when the anime used blood, and even then, we have basically never seen it on humans, only in some battles with some angels and in EOE when Asuka got hurt. Then there are the battles against the mass-produced Evas, but it's not like humans are made out of water, but it's weird that it's coming off of an Evangelion game. So anyway, the plot begins like this. Shinji is called by NERV to do something, I guess, and heads to Neo Tokyo 3. While there, he assists to a murder done by this tentacle monster angel thing. He almost gets attacked, but he is saved by Rei, which receives the blow. And why does this monster have tentacles as arms that uses as weapons? And why we're like 5 minutes in the game and he already laid them on a girl? Rei, no less. Listen, when I see tentacles in an anime, I already know where they are gonna head up. In this case, the monster is Rei. And Rei says, it's sucking blood from my body. I'm sure someone at Broccoli recently saw a hentai with tentacles. From there on, Misato arrives, talks to Shinji, carries Rei to safety, the monster flees the scene, and from there on, Shinji makes his new objective to find the culprit behind the Saki tentacle murders. From this point, Shinji, therefore the player, can explore the entirety of Neo Tokyo 3 freely. Shinji can explore the city in a similar way to GF of Steel. Shinji has to speak to everyone he needs to discover new details that could help him resolve the case. Basically, all of the Eva cast is here, voiced by their original VAs, of course. There are also some new faces at NERV. And then there's also Misato's father. I will also add that he appears in the form of an angel which has to be defeated. Yep, I won't elaborate further. There are some sequences where you can examine the victims' bodies in search for clues. Shinji will get assigned as pilot for Unit 01 and he'll fight some angels, like an angel that is bowling pins. What is happening? The CGI cutscenes are a bit goofy, but I like them since there's something endearing in having the characters move like this. At least I think. Near the end of the game, it's revealed that Kaoru was the one responsible with the murders, and Shinji and the other pilots have to stop him. The game ends with Kaoru beginning third impact, but Shinji kinda prevents it and everything returns normal again. This is truly an Evangelion game. You have Shinji, Evangelions, and characters. Yes, the game is pretty absurd, but I guess it could be a fun ride if you try it.
Mission clear 型
We're starting off with a bang, I see. Where should I even begin to talk about this game? Eva 64 is probably the game you've heard the most out of all of the Eva video games. So maybe I should have said that this is the most famous one, but I digress. If you also know something about shitposts as well as Evangelion, you'll know that this game's soundtrack became viral a while back. Why do you ask? This game has all of the Evangelion anime soundtrack remixed in the super fucking Mario 64 sound font, and the comments under the N64 rendition of Comes Suser Todd, the song that plays during third impact in EOE, are killing me. Hold on, let me get some of these. So long, gay Bowser. That was a grown-up kiss, Mario. When you come back, I'll bake you a cake. My favorite scene in Evangelion was when Kaoru backwards long jumped into the terminal dogma and Shinji said, "Mamma mia!" Mario, thank you so much to play my game. Luigi, thank you so much to play my game. Wait, I'm Italian, I should do the accent. Mario, thank you so much to play my game. Luigi, thank you so much for playing my game. Italians don't talk like this. Like this is my normal voice. What the fuck am I saying? I'm so fucked up. Developed by Gainax BEC and published by Bandai, Evangelion 64 was released in 1999, exclusively on the N64. The game's plot essentially follows the same events of the anime. You fight the various angels that you saw in the anime and in EOE, so this time there will be no original story content, and we're just sticking to what we already saw. At least mostly. That might seem bad initially, but you soon discover that some of the most memorable sequences of the anime have been remade with 3D polygonal N64 models that are far better than the Sega Saturn Second Impressions one. Also, can we talk about the graphics? For a game made on the N64, these graphics are gorgeous. They seem cel-shaded and they look really refined and clash really well with the background. It seems like a really early PS2 game. From a gameplay standpoint, the game is technically a fighting game, but in reality it has like 4 battles against angels that are like this. And all of the other fights are all in what we can call minigames. For example, the battle against Israfel, which was the angel that could split in two and that Asuka and Shinji had to defeat while synchronized, is basically a rhythm game, which is kind of fitting seeing the whole ordeal of the episode. But we'll talk about them later. They are okay in their own right, and I repeat, it's fun to watch all of the events of the anime remade in this polygonal 3D style. Let's now focus on the fighting part of the game right now. After all, it's technically the most important gameplay of the game. So, how well does Unit 01 control? It's clunky, and slow, and unresponsive, and cool as hell. The main objective of the game is, of course, to kill the angel that the Eva unit is put up against with. You'll achieve this through basic melee attacks and quick time events. In the fight there are plenty of camera movements focused on the angel or the Eva getting up and so on. And I think they are executed really well. The only thing though is that it will kinda become annoying over time because they are played too many times. I give also points for translating some other conventional things that we saw in the anime into the fights. We have the synchronization bar, which will increase the more successful attacks you deal to the angel and then permits to make a more powerful attacks. There's also the berserk mode. If you are at a critical health, the Eva will go berserk and have a boost in attack and defense. And surprisingly, both Evas and Angels also have an 80 field. In the Eva's case, you can use to defend from attacks, and in the Angel's case, you can break them in a quick time event and deal great damage. Throughout the fight, you have the pilot space on the bottom, reacting to the various things that happen in the battlefield, and the other support characters intervene when things happen. And that's about it for the fights. Yeah, nothing too deep. As for the other gameplay styles, as I've mentioned before, they are all sort of minigames, but they make sense as to why they included them. As I've said, translating Eva into a video game is difficult, because a lot of the fights against the angels lasted a small amount of time in some cases. Some angels were literally one-shotted by the pilots. You have to be really creative in translating them into a fight. Speeding through this, we have a fight in first person with Ramiel, where you have to aim and shoot at it. A fight against the Eva experiment, where you have to stop him from reaching the city and then doing a sort of strength minigame to defeat him. The rhythm one, which we discussed earlier, an Asuka first person battle based on Magma Diver, another quick time event against Sahakiel, and another one similar with Zeruel, and a trajectory minigame for the fight with Arail. Then there are the fights against Kaoru, in which you'll have to fight Asuka, a mission based on when Asuka fights the military in EOE, and probably the most bizarre one, where Shinji in his reawakened Eva Unit 01 has to fight the Eva Abominations. The game ends the same as EOE, although it's clear that this time Shinji and Asuka actually got together and are semi-fine. All in all, it's a cool experiment if you ask me. If I would have been a kid in 1999 and a big fan of Eva, I couldn't ask for more. One day, our dear friend Broccoli woke up and began playing Super Smash Bros. Brawl on her Wii. Then she had an intrusive thought. Man, I love this game, but you know how it could be better? If we put Eva in it. And so, Evangelion Battle Orchestra was born. Evangelion Battle Orchestra is a 2D fighting game where you pick your Eva unit or angel and fight, simple as that. And honestly, this is probably one of the coolest games I have to cover for this video, but let's start from the beginning, shall we? When we boot up the game, we can admire its opening, and fuck, I don't think I can make you take a listen because I'm pretty sure the song is copyrighted, but fuck it, I don't care. I love this shit! If the anime had a second opening, I can see this game's opening being that. It has this soft techno vibe that fits really well. I like the references to the original OP of the show, like Rei and Asuka kinda fluctuating on the left and right side of the screen, like in the original opening. The song is a fucking bop, especially when it goes like na na ni na na ni. The character designs are a bit weird, but you know, they are a mile better than Shinji Ikari Racing Project. Why is this so goddamn good? And this is just the opening, mind you. The game has also quite a bit of content, surprisingly. It has a story mode, a rumble mode, a practice mode, and an endless mode. The story mode is the most important one, and the most interesting one too. Basically, you can follow the point of view of each Eva pilot, and follow a plot based around the plot of the show through 6 specific stages for each character. character, which of course are Shinji, Rei and Asuka. But it doesn't end here, because Kensuke and Toji return as pilots in this game. Toji pilots Eva 03, the one that in the anime was infected by Baradiel, and Kensuke Unity 04, the one that exploded in the show. And lastly, Kaoru is also playable and pilots Eva Unit Beta. So quite a bit of characters. Of course, every VA from the show returns to reprise their roles, so there's also that plus. And now we're going to quickly cover all of these plots. The plot for Shinji's path is pretty similar to the show, so I won't recap it because it's probably the 6th time you hear me saying this. You fight the various angels that Shinji fought in the show. The final battle, however, it's against Kaoru. Once Kaoru's unit is defeated, Shinji's campaign ends with him being depressed because he just killed Kaoru. Rei's campaign is very similar to Shinji's. They even have the same final boss, albeit in a different map. The ending suggests that she'll help Gendo achieve third impact. So, I'm a bit sad. Asuka's campaign is the one that differentiates the most out of the OG3 pilots. Her story starts with the fight against Gagiel, and from there the plot is pretty faithful to the original story, although she doesn't get mind attacked by Arail, and her story terminates on a final battle with her against the mass-produced Evas. The great thing is that she actually manages to win the fight. Yeah! Toji's path is similar to Asuka's. The fights against the angels are similar, although obviously the story is completely new. Toji gets assigned by Zele as pilot of Unit 01, because by doing that, Zele will pay for his sister's treatments. Although once he discovers what Zele is planning, he betrays them and joins the fight alongside the other pilots. He battles Kaoru and then battles Unity 04, the one that is piloted by Kensuke. Their transmitters were disabled by Zele, so they couldn't communicate with each other. As it turns out, Kensuke was told by Zele that Nerve was the enemy, but once Toji clarifies everything, Kensuke joins the fight too. At this point, I think you predicted Kensuke's path too. He secretly gets assigned as pilot for Unity 04 by Zele, but all he does is defeating copycats of the Eva unit piloted by the children. Kensuke has some doubts in this, but Zele forces him to do as much training as possible. He then fights Lailel and the children, and the final boss is against Toji, but it doesn't end in the same way as Toji's path. In fact, Kensuke kills the Eva before he discovered that Toji was in it. Kaoru is the most tragic one of all. Basically all he does is he brutally murders all of the Evas and pilots except for Kensuke because he is on Zele's side, and after a final fight with Berserk Unity 01, he initiates third impact. Okay, all good? Good. Time for the gameplay. As I've said, conceptually, it's pretty similar to Super Smash Bros. The only difference is that the health bar behaves like a traditional fighting game. You have to reduce the health bar to 0 instead of punching opponents out of the screen with 136.4% of damage. You can double jump with the circle and melee attack with the triangle. You can block with the L and recover when on the ground with the D-pad / analog stick. Then there are the special attacks, but they consume energy. You see that tiny little bar below your health bar? That's your energy. You gain energy via beating up your enemy or collecting the can-looking objects from crates. Energy is used up when you perform any of your special / unique attacks, or even your ultimate attack. Any combinations with the X button and the D-pad consumes a bit of energy. There are 2 types of really strong attacks, which are basically equivalent to 2 types of final smashes as in Super Smash Bros. Press R when you have half energy bar or both L and R, and a cutscene will show the character performing a really powerful attack that deals a lot of damage to the other opponent. These final smashes are probably the coolest part of the game. Every character has a distinct and unique cutscene that is just fun to see. Every one of these attacks are a reference to the show or EOE. Shinji has an attack referencing Ramen's fight, with him shooting with a rifle Rei and him used in the fight. The other one has him going berserk, pinning his opponent down and punching him like in Sachi's fight. Rei has the suicide bomb attack from Zeruel's fight, and I could continue but we'd just end up here for the whole day. Oh, and the playable characters all control nicely. Speaking of which, there are a lot of playable ones. We have Eva 00, 01, 02, 03 and 04. But we then also have the mass-produced ones, Alpha, Beta, their build versions of 00 and 01, and basically every angel except for Matarail, Sandaphalon, Arail and Armisail. The last 4 became environmental hazards that appear in each map at random. There's also Berserk Eva Unity 01, which is one of the most broken characters in the game. Also, half of the playable angels are so fucking goofy. Like, yeah kid, you can play as the big black and white ball in the sky if you want. Seeing these gigantic beasts just move in this way, it's so surreal, but that's part of the fun. Think of how many Eva games lets you play as angels. I'll respond for you, none, except for this one. I didn't expect to have fun with this game out of all the ones we covered so far. If you're looking for a great game to play this, maybe with friends. It's lots of fun. We have finally reached what's probably the best game that we'll cover in this video. Have you ever played a Persona game? Okay, what if there was a game in a similar style to Persona for Evangelion? Well, you don't have to search far because we have one right here. Neon Genesis Evangelion, or NGE Jo, was released in 2003 and was conceived as part of the renewal of Eva project in 2002 and 2003, where a remastered version of Eva in DVD was released. To commemorate this, Gainax decided to have a game alongside it. This game was going to be massive. Starting production in 1998 with the supervision from the creator of the series Hideaki Anno, and with basically everyone on the team having had a deep dive into Eva's world, the game received gaming press, interviews with the staff involved, special DVDs containing special new content and many more stuff. When the game released, it was quite a big success, managing to have a bestseller edition for its PSP release. The gameplay is split into 2 parts, like a Persona game. What I call the normal day life part and the fighting part. The fighting part gets a little bit of time to get adjusted to. You control the Eva in a top-down map. You have to make your way through Neo Tokyo 3's streets and be careful to wisely use your umbilical cable. This is not just a really unique fighting mechanic, but also it makes you really feel like Shinji. Because you're helpless and Nerve doesn't explain you shit, eventually you'll come in contact with the angel, in this case Sachiel. When you come in contact with the enemy, a cutscene will show of the Eva or angel dealing damage to the opponent. In this case, Sachiel will proceed to beat you to death. Then the Eva will go berserk, punch Sachiel in the face and win the fight. After that, we are at Misato's house, and this is where the best part of the game takes place. In the normal day life part, or slice of life part, Shinji has to talk to the other people in his life, like Misato, Rei, Asuka and so on. From a gameplay standpoint, this is done so you'll deal more damage to the angels, kinda like in Persona. The more people you manage to form a bond with and advance with their side stories, the more special attacks and effects you unlock to use in battles. You can become friends with basically everyone, the nerve operators, the pilots and so on. There are also dating sims elements with Asuka and Rei, so you know. Like in Persona, you can make people gifts so they will appreciate you more, and the more you talk to them, the more they'll open up to you and reveal more things about them. There's also the funny possibility of staring blankly at a person from afar. This will result in 2 things. They will either ignore you if you are not friends enough and probably think about calling the cops, or they'll get closer and talk to you. While we have already seen the combat gameplay and I have said positive things towards it, I'd want to bring up the fact that this game's combat, while unique, doesn't feel like what I would think of when I hear the word Evangelion. The top-down strategy thing is cool, but I'd much have preferred a game which had a 3D map where you could battle the angel in. The combat is cool, but I don't like it that much. The Persona-like slice of life gameplay though is perfect. I wouldn't change a single thing of it. It's basically a Persona game. If you have played one of them, you're basically ready to play this part. And I couldn't be more happier that two of my favorite franchises had an illegitimate baby. The game also has loads of post-game content and various routes and finales that you unlock while you progress in the game. The game has several different routes, or scenarios as the game calls them, 11 on the PS2 version and a whopping 18 on the PSP one. The scenarios have also different characters as protagonists. Most of them, like the main one, have Shinji as the protagonist, but all of the others feature Rei, Asuka, Misato, Touji, Ryoji, Toru and Gendo. All playable, and this is just regarding the PS2 version, mind you. There's loads and loads of new content, and there's also the classified informations, which are things all wrote by Hideaki Anno, which are not 100% canon, but they also kinda are? I don't know. Point is that this game is fun. The characters' models are nice, the story is fantastic, the ideas are awesome. My only complaint is the battle system, but aside from that, if you love Evangelion, this game is a hidden gem, and probably the best Eva game you're going to play. Jeez, I really wanted a game that is like this, but has a combat system that I actually like. Wait, what's that? Ah!
乗れ出撃だ。かつてないエヴァンゲリオンのゲームスタイルを確立。プレイヤー自身の意志で動き。
We can view Evangelion Jo as a sort of sequel or reimagining of NGE2. This game is technically based on the first Eva rebuild movie, You Are Not Alone, but in reality it also incorporates many elements of the original anime. For example, Asuka is present here, although in the rebuild series she appears for the first time in the second movie. Eva Jo also means Evangelion Introduction, and that's fitting since the first rebuild movie is just a remake of the first episodes of the series. People will probably say that adapting the first rebuild movie and then the series has been a wrong move, but I can see why they did that. The game would have had like 6 battles against the angels if they didn't figure out something to make the game at least a bit longer. Once the events of the first rebuild movie are finished, the game just adapts the rest of the series. Asuka is introduced, we fight every angel in the series, some with quick time events, and some with a new fighting gameplay that I will discuss later. The game has 2 endings you can achieve, a good one and a bad one. The good one has Shinji fighting the mass-produced Evas and Third Impact is averted, and then Rei revives everyone who was killed. In the bad one, Third Impact happens and everyone's souls get into this Human Instrumentality project, and then so on and so forth happens, and you know. There's not that much to say about this game. As I've said, it's basically a reimagining of NGE2, which is cool, at least regarding its story. We have finally reached the fun part of the game, the gameplay. The slice of life part has been heavily cut. Now it's just basically a moment for the player to take a break in because they cut Shinji's 80 field mechanic. However, it's still important to pay attention to this part, because by speaking to the various nerve operators, Misato and so on, Shinji can buy upgrades for Eva 01. He can also buy and place various objects that will help him on the battlefield, like turrets, missiles, pallet guns and so on. The combat system, which I had a few problems with in NG2, has been completely redesigned. Aboard the Eva, the game behaves like a third-person shooter. X is for dodging and rolling, square is to pick up objects on the ground, circle for the normal attack, and triangle for the heavier attack. With L you can lock on the enemy, so you don't have to do weird stuff to rotate the camera. The combat feels much better than the previous action games, and is pretty fun to control Unit 01. The unit is much more lighter and it controls really well. There are 5 areas which you can visit while you battle with the angels. There's also the Geofront, but you have to be careful because if the angel reaches that, you also have to make sure that the angel doesn't destroy it, unless it's game over. You also have to make sure you have enough energy for the Eva through the fight, and to not make it overheat. There's also the health bar that doesn't completely recharge after every battle. If you get hit and lose a lot of health, the health bar will regain only a bit of health in the next fight. You have to go to Ritsuko and buy the expensive repairments for the Eva, if you want the health bar to be completely recharged. The Evangelion's models are pretty good to look at, the same thing goes for the characters. The battlegrounds are well made, there's also elements of destructible environments. I have to say something on the cutscenes though. Some of them are made really well, while others are just JPEG images with music and voice acting. The music was mostly pretty good, it was a pretty good experience overall. And with that, we finished Eva Jo and the whole action game section. Pretty good game! Play it if you're a fan of the series and looking for probably the best combat the series has ever had in a video game until now. But if you're looking for more character interactions and the definitive Eva video game story, play NG2. Do you know trading card books? Okay, what if a card book about Evangelion was put on a 369 MB disc for the Sega Saturn? Released in September of 1997, NGE Digital Card Library is a quote-unquote game where players are tasked to complete a digital card book themed around the Evangelion anime. The main menu is structured like a notebook, and initially you'll have very few cards. What is the method to unlock them, you may ask? By completing minigames, and we're gonna see all 9 of them. So let's check them out. Okay, so for the first one we have one with Gendo and Kaji. I unfortunately can't read Japanese, so I can't understand what... In the first minigame, you have to input at what direction Gendo's eyes are moving, and I can't take this seriously. In the second one, you're Ramiel, and you have to spot the real Unit 01 with the Shinji inside and shoot at it. At the real one, which is the one which is painted correctly. The third one, based on Magma Diver, sees Asuka going down in the volcano where she has to retrieve the angel sample. To do this, she has to descend while avoiding the walls. In the fourth one, you have to make the Eva reach the exit point and you have to choose the best launch point to get there. In the fifth one, you play as Pen. You have to get a specific item. To do this, you watch a fluctuating meter and hit the button at the right time, so Pen slides to the item. It gets trickier and trickier the more you advance in the game. The sixth one is probably the best one. Misato is drinking beer and asks Shinji to get her more. So Shinji just casually walks through the neighborhood in search for vending machines that sell beer. Just imagine, spending your relaxing Sunday with your family, when suddenly a boy is running frantically like a heroin addict, huffing and puffing to every vending machine he sees, putting all of his cents there, then taking the beer and running away, refusing to elaborate. The seventh one sees Shinji in Unit 01 trying to catch up with the USA Eva Angel from that episode. The thing is that he's holding Misato on the Eva's hand. You have to run to the mecha and simultaneously balance your hand so that Misato won't fall. The eighth is a sliding minigame. You have to align the Japanese text correctly. And then there's the last one. It's a quiz. It's all in pretty fast moving Japanese, so unless you're very fluent in the language, this one is going to be tough. After completing the minigames, as said before, you'll unlock more cards. What they do varies. They can display silly artwork about the characters, they can play a compilation of the characters' scenes from the anime, you can unlock all of the episode's previews, and they can also make you see some exclusive goofy manga panels, and many more. I've seen a couple of these and I have to say that they are pretty funny and probably they are the best part of the entire quote-unquote game. There were also a lot of references to the Sonic series, weirdly enough. Rei is hit by Asuka and she drops rings, and Rei makes her hair looks like Sonic squeals. But I mean, it has to be expected. Like, do you remember the announcement where in Sonic Racing Crosswords you can now choose Rei, Asuka and Shinji, I think? The signs were there from the beginning. You can also unlock all of the episode's previews. I would say that there's more, but that's about it. In an era before the internet, I think it was nice to have this game. You have infos about the anime you like so much, and some exclusive content. What could you ask for more? But nowadays, games like this are obsolete and a piece of history, and I think it's a bit sad, but only a bit though. I mean, this game still has a heart put into it, or at least more effort than you probably even think of. I could see myself being obsessed with it if I was little, but just for a few days, and then I would probably put away the disc and forget about it. In the 8th episode of NGE, you know, the episode where Asuka is introduced, we have a scene in which Kaji shows to Gendo the embryo of Adam, and Gendo says the usual stuff about how this is going to be one of the many steps for the Human Instrumentality Project and yada yada yada. But what if Gendo instructed Kaji to keep the embryo and raise it? Welcome to Evangelion Angel Raising Oh god, they made another one of these! Again! For the second time! This is a Tamagotchi-like game where Kaji has to raise the angel into full adulthood. If this sounds weird to you, well, it's because it is, but don't expect everything in this game to be bad. For example, as I just said, you play as Kaji. Seems weird at first, but then you realize that this was probably the only character in the show that could do this. Why? Because he takes care of his watermelons, of course, and he was the only one who tried to give actual useful advices to Shinji. Speaking of which, Shinji wouldn't do it, Rei probably wouldn't even know how to do it, Asuka would not do it, certainly not Misato. Kaji is the most logical choice here. I mean, as far as you can stretch that to have an excuse for this game to happen and why Kaji is doing this. Kaji wakes up at 9 o'clock for a 12-hour shift in which he has to, well, take care of the angel embryo. Think of what you do in a Tamagotchi game and adapt it to suit Evangelion. You have to monitor its stats to make sure he's doing fine, maintaining the energy and pressure inside its LCL tank, changing the air filters, using the Magi system to either slow down or make the time go faster, and giving items to the little creature. But where do you get these items? This is where the RPG element of the game comes into play. The whole Nerve HQ is fully explorable on foot. We already saw something similar in GF of Steel, but now it's in this top-down isometric view. You can talk to the various Nerve staff and the characters of the series, and even encounter the children if you're lucky. There are many easter eggs to uncover, like going into a secret room of Nerve and seeing Fuyutsuki obliterating everyone at a game of Mahjong. The main thing to do is to look out for chests that contains those items, but you'll surely spend your time exploring and talking to the characters. That said, the game is surprisingly difficult when it comes to its main part, raising the angel. The game doesn't explain shit and the angel could die without any prior notice for random reasons. Fortunately though, all the items you've collected in the previous runs will carry over to your current run, so the best strategy is to basically throw at the angel everything that you have got, in the hopes that when a problem happens, you resolve it. The angel should reach adulthood in 6 days, and then you can play various minigames with him, such as parrying incoming bullets at Mach 2 speeds that give me PTSD from the fights of Undyne in the genocide route of Undertale, or even fighting the Evangelions, or at least that's what Eva Jigs tells me. I didn't like the music that much, but that's just because I don't like this compressed music from the WonderSwan. Give this game a go if this looks interesting to you. Honestly, Tamagotchi isn't really my thing, but I think this game could be fun to play it if you're into that. Hey kid, do you like crossovers? Yeah, like Super Smash Bros, with its easy to pick up gameplay where everyone has fun in beating each other up with Nintendo characters. Now imagine that, but instead of fighting, Mario and Link are playing cards. I mean, that is certainly something.
2イーソ自敗が作り出したもの珍労働労働パイの作り出したもの
Eva and Good Friends is a difficult topic to talk about. That's because we're not talking about just one game, but rather a series of 8 games, all in which characters from Evangelion, sometimes joined by characters from other Gainax franchises, play Mahjong and various other card games. There have been a lot of misinformation regarding these games. Oh, the games are lost media. Oh, all the games are the same. Oh, do you mean the official Gainax game in which Asuka and Rei are naked? God damn it, Gainax. Well, in regards to debunking these false informations, the site Beyond the Electric Ship comes again in handy and gives me much needed help. The games are not lost media. You can simply search them on Google and you can download them from the Internet Archive. The games are different from one and another, most of them at least, and only 2 games contain eroge content that we'll discuss later, don't worry. The first game in the series was simply called Eva and Friends, and it was released on PS1, Sega Saturn and PC. In this game there are 4 story paths. In the Evangelion focused one, Shinji and the others get invited at a Mahjong tournament, after Shinji finds a pamphlet while shopping supplies with Toji. Once discovered, all the characters pester him into accepting. Then there's all the stories of the other Gainax characters. I probably should mention that I haven't seen nothing Gainax made apart from Evangelion, so I don't know who Nadia, the Secret of Blue Water, is. There's Jin's story from Nadia, the Secret of Blue Water. It starts with him ignoring Nadia in favor of his inventions, sending her into a depressive state. King, Nadia's pet lion cub, conveniently shows up with a flyer for the Mahjong tournament in his mouth, and begins pestering Jin into entering the competition with her. Jin goes along with it, thinking it'll cheer her up, but his friendliness and boyish charm win all over his opponents, making her extremely jealous instead. Nadia's jealousy factors into Noriko's from Gunbusters story as well. Pilot Jung Freud tells her about the tournament, and after remembering a dream she had involving her dead friend Smith Thorin, she decides to enter. Noriko uses the tournament as a chance to find a new boyfriend, and figuring out that neither Shinji nor Toji are her type, falls for Jin. After completing the initial stories, a new chapter starring Misato is unlocked. As far as the gameplay goes, I have to make a confession, I don't really know how to play any cards game except for Uno. Mahjong is a Chinese game played usually by 4 people, with 136 or 144 rectangular pieces called tiles, where the goal is to be the first to form a hand of 14 tiles, consisting of 4 sets, 3 tiles each, and 1 pair, 2 identical tiles. Players draw and discard tiles clockwise using pongs, 3 of a kind, or chose sequences to complete sets. The game is interesting because, you get to see all of the Eva characters happy and interacting with other Gainax characters. All of them are voiced by their original VAs, and there's lots and lots of new artwork featuring the characters. But if you're not a fan of Mahjong or don't know how to play it, just look up the game online. You are not missing much, trust me. The PC port added even more content, such as additional campaigns like Aurus one, additional artwork, and porn! Jesus fucking Christ, Gainax! At this point I wanted to talk about these 2 goddamn stripping games so I can get them off my chest. There were made 2 games that had this type of content in them. The PC port of Eva and Good Friends, and Eva and Friends, the stripping instrumentality project. And like with a name like this, I'm not expecting the game to be innocent or anything. The Stripping Instrumentality Project is just an enhanced version of Eva and Friends 1, but packaged with lots and lots of images, both digital and physical, that I can't show you in full. But all of this pales in comparison to that time that Gainax officially made a 12-minute hentai OVA based on Evangelion. Wait, you don't know about this? Oh, let me ruin your day. So, in the late 90s to mid 2000s, when people used torrents to download the Evangelion episodes, it was a possibility that instead of finding Evangelion episodes, you would have found another episode instead. This animation, which was animated very poorly, I might add, features Gendo calling Shinji in his office, where the boy finds that everyone is doing a massive orgy, basically. Gendo is doing this because this is the only way in which angels will stop attacking. He then proceeds to call Rei. Rei comes, she takes off her plug suit, very inaccurately I might add, begins to sucky fucky glock glock Shinji. Gendo smiles, the camera focuses on the other characters and fuck, I can't describe what is going on. I might get in jail. Kaji is doing things with Asuka. Shinji for the whole thing is split between going all in or refusing all of this. Gendo gets a BJ and smiles. Oh fuck, oh my god. No! Gainax, why? Gainax, why do you have to do this? It's not confirmed that this thing was made by Gainax, but look at the animation. It's pretty old. Who else was going to make in the late 90s a hentai on Evangelion? Also, knowing what Gainax did with the Sleeping Instrumentality project, all of this becomes more plausible. If you want to watch it by yourself, which, I'm not gonna stop you, just search Evangelion hentai late 90s and it should appear. It's pretty easy to find it in that way. What was I on again? Oh right, Eva and Friends. We'll quickly rapid fire through the rest of the Eva and Friends games because frankly, they suck. Also I might add that these games also came packed in with extra stuff like screensavers and things like that. So anyway, is this Solitaire? Yes, it's just Solitaire. And this marks the first appearance Kaoru has made in a video game, by the way. Mission of Logic. It's a vaguely Ritsuko Akagi themed collection of Eva themed nonograms. For those of you who are unfamiliar with nonograms, it's the same thing as Picross. They are logic based puzzles in which you fill in a grid based on numbers on the side of the grid telling you how many blocks to fill in. It's basically like Picross. Have you ever played Pokemon Picross? Like the free Pokemon game that was on Nintendo 3DS? I remember I was so confused with it as a child. I probably should play it again. Second, Hanafuda Impact. It's a Hanafuda, like the card game which Nintendo used to produce cards for before turning into a video game company. This game also depicts the characters of Evangelion as if they were in a different universe, something that will begin to be the standard for this type of games. In this case, the Evangelion characters are hanging out in kimonos. The game is packed full with new art with all of your favorite Evangelion characters in traditional Japanese garb. All out, rich man poor. It's Daifuga, you select a character and they'll have to become rich. Buongiorno 7-Up, you play all four, a card game famous in the 1600 England. The characters are all dressed in dresses that reflect the time period, and Asuka is cosplaying Sherlock Holmes. American Page 1, you play Page 1, an ancestor of Uno, and it's all Far West themed, and I really like this artwork of Asuka and Rei. It's nice. The last thing I want to add is that they made a Mahjong game of Eva for the Game Boy Color, and it's pretty surreal to look at, but that's basically it.
Shinseiki Evangelion Typying E Keikaku.
At the turn of the millennium, many games in which players are tasked to type letters and words on their keyboards to complete the levels hit the market. They are called typing tutor games. My guess is that their purpose was either to make children and teens learn how to type faster or to market on the still relatively new wave of PCs and keyboards that were still a new thing at the time. I don't know, point is that every game series had a spin-off where they would have had to type words to advance in the level. House of the Dead, Typing of the Dead. Street Fighter 2, how about Typing Fighter 2? Mario, how about Mario teaches typing? If anyone tells you that Mario has no PC games, show them this game. They didn't specify if the game had to be good or not. Obviously, an Eva video game was made on this premise. Two of them were made, in fact. The first one, Typing Project E, offers about what we would expect from a game like this. It's a typing tutor game featuring minigames based around sequences and themes from the series. My ebook serves as the player's guide this time, through 7 levels based on moments of the series. Many Angels battles are repurposed as levels here. The one with the splitting angel of the episode Both of You Dance Like You Wanna Win, or the angel that tries to hack the Magi system in Lilliputian Hitcher. The game makes use of the chibi forms we saw in Shinji and Good Friends, Mission of Logic, which you should remember from before. The PC version of the game featured an online leaderboard accessible via Galaxy's website. The mode was discontinued at some point between January and April of 2004, but you can still view some of them which were archived on the Wayback Machine. It's very important to note that despite being featured on the front cover, Rei is nowhere to be found in this game. I immediately give this game a 0 out of 10. The sequel to the first Eva typing game is really similar to the first one, but with some differences. Misato is this game's host. We have new levels, some of which repurpose some fights we already saw in the other game, but most of the new levels are focused on some more slice-of-life activities, like karaoke and eating lunch with Ikari. There's also a dating sim mechanic in which you can try to ask out either Maya, Rei or Asuka, and yeah, that's about it. This game, like the other one, also had an online leaderboard which has been closed long ago, but can still be viewed with the Wayback Machine.
こんなエヴァが見たかった？おなじみのキャラ総出演で送るワクワクの学園生活。全人
Petit Eva EVANGELIONGame is a minigame compilation based on the Petit Eva manga. Wait, you don't know what Petit Eva is? You don't know about it because you're a sane person and haven't even thought about making a video on Evangelion video games that's taking away all of my free time in the holidays. I hate myself! Petit Eva is a parody manga series based on Evangelion. It's difficult to even explain what the hell is this thing. Basically, imagine the happy-go-lucky reality of episode 26 of the anime, but pushed to the absolute extreme with the absurdness. Shinji and friends are all students at high school. No, actually this would be too simple, because there are already some bizarre things. For example, Eva Unit 01 is a student. Like, it's a character of his own. Yup. Then there are 3 rays, because these are the 3 rays we see through the anime, right? The baby one that gets strangled by Ritsuko's mom, the one we see throughout the anime until she gets killed by an angel, and then the 3rd one we see in the last episodes of the series, and in End of Evangelion. Have I lost you? Okay, from this manga, which was fairly successful, at least I think, an anime adaptation was made. It's like 24 episodes long, and all of the episodes are a fucking fever dream. There was an episode where Unity 01 and Shinji were eating lunch together. Then they begin to share their food. Shinji is a bit reluctant to try the food of Unity 01 because they're fucking batteries, but eats them anyway, and then he takes a trip to the bathroom. Another one where Misato tries to murder Shinji with the chokes because he was asleep in class, but he avoids all of them while sleeping. Another one where Kensuke is spying on Asuka, then Gendo comes and spies on Rei. Then Misato arrives and beats the shit out of them. I can continue, but you get the idea. There's also a really funny Reddit post where the poster talks about this whole spin-off, and it makes me laugh so fucking hard. Let me read a piece of it. It's truly fascinating. In the first episode of Petit Eva, Shinji shits batteries through his ass after being force-fed them by Eva 01. If you take this at face value, you'd be like, just some goofy Petit Poochie stuff. But if you really think, you'll realize that this is an analogy for kidney stones, which you can get from drinking battery, which is energy drink. Energy drink is kind of Lilith juice, and kidney stones, they come from your kidney, and your kidney filters Lilith juice plus filter, and suddenly you understand that episode 1 is a clever analogy for some entity trying to filter and harness Lilith juice. Like Nerve, for example. It's fascinating. I could do this for every episode in this series. Please do this. Please do this, man. I want more episodes recapped like this. Please, please, for the love of God, do more of them. In 2008, probably after the consideration that they could milk the franchise even more, a game based on this series was released for Nintendo DS. And oh look, I have a modded 3DS, and there's an English fan translation online. So you know what this means? To get the English patch working, I started with getting the game online from totally legal sources, then I got the English patch from romhacking.net, then I put the game and the patch on an online-based ROM patcher, took the patched game that the site gave me, put the patched game on my ROMs and DS folder on my 3DS, turned it on, went into Twilight menu. Petit Eva is about what you would expect. It's a minigame collection all based on the DS's touchscreen controls and aimed at young children. The game has 3 save files, and upon selecting a new one, Misato tells you to write your name on the white box or draw something, which I thought it was funny. When you start a new save file, you get this cute cutscene where all of the characters from this weird spin-off get represented. Here we have Shinji, Asuka, the 3 Rays, Evancho, and so on. The story is simplistic, nonsensical, and self-contained in every level. Every level has a little cutscene explaining why the characters are here and what you have to do. In my case, the first level, Misato calls everybody for a snack, and it's revealed to be just a piece of cake. There are 5 main types of minigames in this game. In this case, it's Touch Adventure. Touch Adventure utilizes a point-and-click mechanic. These minigames ask Shinji to retrieve items, talk to characters, and stuff like that. Their gameplay is based on drawing circles around various objects and the Eva characters, which seems simple in practice, but when you actually do it for yourself, I can assure you that it's a pain in the ass. The game won't recognize the circles most of the time, and you'll quickly become insane in the process of trying and retrying, scratching the DS's down screen in the process. I don't know if this is a fault of me playing this obscure game on a modded PAL 3DS using an English fan patch. I don't think this was meant to be the exact way to play the game by the developers, but since every other game I've tried before works perfectly, I'm willing to believe that this game is actually made like this. Assuming you manage to make a circle on a character that the game will recognize, they will start talking and say you something. The main objective of this game is to distract Asuka by making her see Kaji and taking the cake for yourself. You achieve this by making a circle on the watermelon on the window. That causes Asuka to see Kaji, who was probably stalking us all by the way, and Shinji can eat cake. Yay! The second minigame requires Shinji to help Sporty, which is one of the 3 Rays, to arrive at school in time. This is touch action. Minigames where players are tasked to move out of the road obstacles that block the way of the character who is walking/running. Fortunately, you don't have to draw circles this time. You can just move them out of your way by tapping them or dragging them on their designated spots. The next one requires Shinji to help Ritsuko at Nerve. This time it's touch puzzle. These levels involve around moving objects around on the screen to complete a variety of challenges, such as rearranging wire puzzles, like in this case, and solving math problems. And those math problems, man, they are tough. Another minigame is this one, where Evancho gets on another robot thingy. An Eva for an Eva, I suppose. This is tapping time. Its levels require the players to rapidly tap the touchscreen with the stylus in order to keep up momentum and reach a goal in time. The last one is Hard Quiz, where players will be asked questions and they'll have to respond with one of the present answers, like this one, where Shinji gets invited into the 3 Rays house and Chibinami, the youngest one of them, makes him questions. These are the main types of gameplays. They are really easy, as you can expect, but you'll of course be here for the absurdity of situations and dialogues of the characters. I have to remind you that this is the Steel Evangelion that we're talking about. I won't spoil too much of the things that happen in it, because I think this is actually one of the games that I like the most in this video. There's also an Azu Shin moment that was really cute. Why wasn't there a moment with Ray? Oh yeah, I forgot, for us Ray fans we have the pedo game, you're right. And that's about it for Eva Petit. It's a really short game, it lasts for about an hour. The game has charm, it has a cute art style, and I like the characters' interactions and so on. An interesting fan fact is that the game marks the first appearance of Mari Shikinami, yes, the most hated Eva pilot of all time, introduced in the Eva Rebuilds movies. She doesn't resemble her design in the rebuilds, they probably used an early design, but you can clearly see it's her. I like Mari, I know she's kinda weird, but I don't understand all the hate towards her. Oh well, next one.
特務機関ネルフへようこそ。はじめまして。私は桂木美里。あなたを担当することになったわ。
Misato Katsuragi's reporting plan is a quote-unquote online game developed by Silius. You may be wondering, what do you do in this game? Well, you can go into the menu, select some stuff. Oh, and Misato tells you the news about the day. That's it.
それではニュースをお伝えします。
Gameplay! This new subscription games whole deal is a 3D cel-shaded Misato model that tells you the news of the day. What did you expect from a game that didn't even have Evangelion in the title? A game! That's what I wanted! To give the paid news channel, sorry, I meant game, some merit, I have to say that Misato's model and the whole aesthetic of the game is actually pretty nice. I mean, I really like the cel-shaded art style in general, and this game's art style is based on that, so I like it. You can even select which dress you want Misato to wear, which are taken from the anime. But apart from that, there isn't any more to say on this game. Well, except for one thing. Misato has the voice of her original voice actress from the anime. But what's interesting is that it isn't the voice actress who's speaking. No. That would be too cliché. Misato's voice for the daily news reading was generated through a speech synthesis software by the name of Ruby Talk, created by Hitachi. Yes. Because of course I do the same for my news channel where an anime girl talks about the weather or something like that. The game had a really short lifespan too. It lasted barely for a year before it was closed down, from 2009 to 2010. The game's ROM can be found on the Internet Archive if you're curious, but don't expect it to be functional.
Evangelion 新劇場版サウンド
Rebuild of Evangelion turned Impact is the last Evangelion game to be released. Well, at least if you don't count the Pachinko games or the mobile games. And I have to say, they really went out with a bang. As the title suggests, the game is based on the first two Eva Rebuilds movies and adapts them in rhythm game form. Yeah, I bet you didn't expect that, did ya?
Didn't expect that, did you?
This is weird in concept, because despite Evangelion having loads and loads of recognizable music composed by the legendary Shiro Sagisu, that I won't play here for copyright, I'd argue that they aren't exactly the type I'd listen to in a rhythm game, but somehow the composer of this game made remixes of the Eva music that is actually kinda okay to listen to when playing this type of game. Again, I think that Sagisu's music is legendary, but there's a difference in hearing this and this in a rhythm game. The same way it goes for the original anime, the type of host that you hear in the game doesn't fit well in the anime. The plot of the game follows the events of Eva Rebuilds 1 and 2. Wait, why is there a 3 in the title then? Why is there an ND after the 3? Did my English lessons fail me? Well, you see, this is a pun. Turn is supposed to be read as sound. The joke here is that the 3, which is pronounced as san in Japanese, is mixed with nd, the suffix you would use for the number 2 and numbers like that in English. The combination makes you read it as sando, which is similar to the word sound, referencing the fact that not only what you're about to play is a real game, but also the various impacts that happened in Evangelion. Clever!
Clever.
What was I talking about before? Oh, right. The plot follows the first two Eva Rebuilds movies, so the various stages are going to be based off the events that happen in said movies. So the various angels fights like Sachel and Ramiel, but also some more curious levels in which you listen to the thoughts of the pilots. There are four main gameplay styles. The first one that we can experience is in Sachel's fight. You have to press the correct buttons following the rhythm, in classic rhythm game fashion. The more you press correctly, the more nerve troops will come ready to attack the angel. Fail the beats and they will be so disappointed in your lack of grip that they will escape the battlefield, only returning if you manage to successfully go into the beat again. After the nerve troops are all gathered, you have this tiny section in which you have to fire bullets as much as you possibly can to the angel. We have missiles, helicopters, a soldier with a tiny pistol shooting. I believe in you, man, you're doing great. Probably that pistol wouldn't even be enough to reach his body, but keep going, man, I believe in you. In this section, your job is to make the health bar of the angel reach 0. If you're successful, you're simply going to receive some bonus points. Yep, that's it. For the second gameplay style, which is the one I've teased before, you'll have to reveal the pilot's thoughts. The way you do this is simple. This time there's a line that moves in a cardiogram sort of style, and you have to align it in the corresponding button prompts. The third style is probably what you're going to see the most of in this game. Here you have to press the correct buttons as the two octagons overlap. You have three possible colors. If it's purple, press the left D-pad. If it's orange, press circle. And if it's pink and multicolored, press both left and circle. This style of gameplay plays during the fights with the angels, and while playing these levels, there will be segments of the fight of the Rebuilds movies as the background. There is also another type of octagon that you activate by pressing left and circle. This plays a short video of the nerve characters commenting on what's going on. After finishing the song, you'll get another section where you'll button mash in order to destroy the angel's core. And if you manage to do enough damage, the core will explode, followed by a cutscene where the angel explodes. The fourth presents itself as a red screen filled with hexagons. The objective is to timely press the correct buttons as the hexagons go down, and as you do this, the hexagons will dissolve, revealing the cutscene which is playing underneath. Then, when we hit the levels based on the second Rebuild movie, in addition to the four types I've just listed, we have two more gameplay styles. In the first one, you have to press the shoulder buttons or the left D-pad and circle when these lines that are coming from the sides overlap with your center empty lines. And in the last one, the Evas must reach a falling angel. To do this, they have to run at high speed and jump over obstacles. They can either do a high jump with circle or a long jump with X. The game repeats these gameplay styles, and I want to say that this is probably one of the Eva games that I had more fun with. I love rhythm games. I have an Ozu account for Lilith's sake. I definitely recommend you to play it if you like this sort of games. I didn't expect the Rhythm Eva game to be one of the best games of the series, but there you have it, I guess. Throw it in the same pile alongside Eva Jo, Eva 64 and Battle Orchestra. And with that, we finally finished this journey in Evangelion video games. Even Mayura is happy. I'm tired! Mayura, please decrypt that file.
取り組んでいます。
Okay then, there's nothing else to say apart from, like the...
アルバリアン、こっちへおいで。
Huh? Who is it? I don't know who you are, but, you know, Mayura, stay here. Are you the wall? Like,
バカじゃない。俺は壁の上にいるあなたのビデオはクソだ。
Oh, sorry, okay. The monster?
そしてあなたはゲームを本当に
Hey, I think I've done a pretty good job covering them. I don't know what you're talking about.
まだカバーすべきゲームがいくつかある。
Sorry, not covering.
います、パチンコゲーム。
I don't want to do this shit anymore!
あ、アルバリアン、気をつけてください。
Whoa, 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 whoa! Calm down!
これは計画の重要な部分です。パチンコゲームをカバーしないと 撃ち殺してやる。単純でしょ。
Well, who of you there likes gambling? Do you remember like 2 hours ago when we discussed Evangelion Second Impression, where they cut the Pachinko phase and they had only like the simplified version of the combat system? But where did the Pachinko phase go? Oh man, this sucks. I guess we should cancel the whole thing for our next game. Hold on a sec, you can cut it for the next game if you really want to, but I have a better idea. Oh, okay. What if we reuse this mechanic in games that will only have that mechanic as gameplay? I'm sorry, I don't quite understand. Let's make 10 Pachinko Evangelion games for various consoles, putting barely any effort in them. What the hell are you saying? For the DS version, you pull the lever, the bars will roll, and on the top screen, a repeating footage of Nerve will repeat on loop indefinitely. Can you listen to me for a sec? Why the hell you want to make 10 Pachinko based games? It's not even the same mechanic we used in First Impression. Why do you think this is a good idea? Oh. Okay, people, raise your hand if you love gambling. What if while you're gambling, Rei and Asuka from Neon Genesis Evangelion are watching you, judging your life choices silently while inviting you to spend more money in Pachinko machines are Japanese slot machines. I'm not an expert on this stuff because I'm a good boy, and good boys don't spend money on scams. The game involves launching small steel balls into a machine to win prizes. In Japan, these, alongside the pinball machines and stuff like that, are really popular, and they have managed to slide and cross over with some popular anime franchises. Search one of the most popular anime ever made paired with slot machine or stuff like that, and they will start appearing like xenomorphs. Nobody's safe from this. ReZero, Konosuba, no game, no life. Wait, that's actually thematically accurate. I can see Sora and Shiro gambling money in that machine. And of course, even Evangelion has a bunch of these Pachinko machines. It actually has a lot of these. No, let me rephrase that. Apparently, by exploiting Eva fans' gambling addictions, the Eva gambling machines constitute 2/3 of the money that Evangelion has made through the years of its existence. 2/3! 2 fucking thirds! That means that they earned more money than the movies, more than the original series, and more than the merch. We are so fucked as a species, oh my god. Now, this information comes from Reddit, so I don't know if I should trust a site like that, but still, I wouldn't be surprised if it would actually be true. Naturally, sensing they could squeeze even more money out of the fans, Gainax and some of the developers of some of those machines decided to publish video game renditions of said machines for various consoles, which are the PS2, PS3 and DS. And they are like 10? How many fucking Pachinko games are there? Now, it should be noted that since I don't know how to play the real life Pachinko games, then I don't really know how to properly play the Eva Pachinko games. Also, many of these games are basically the exact same thing, just with different skins. And you might say, come on, there should be at least some differences among the ones that are similar. How do I explain this to you? Let's check out the DS game. This one. This should be okay. So, as always, take the SD card, put the SD card inside the PC, download the game, put the game on the SD card, put the game on the 3DS, launch toilet menu, and here we are. Gainax. Of course, Ray. Look at this. Look, hear this audio. Why is the game lagging so much? How do I pull out this? Max bet. I don't know what to do. Okay. I lost. Oh, no, no, I actually won. Okay. Max bet! Max bet! Okay, okay, okay. I lost. Peak gameplay. Let's see another one. This one. Okay. It's the same exact fucking game. As you've just seen, many games follow this format, but I'll still try to cover them all for my joy. The first PS2 game, named I'm not even gonna attempt to say this, is very similar to the DS games, but with a lot of visual effects. The second one, that will give me a stroke in just trying to pronounce it, is completely blank. And you wanna know why? Because I can't find gameplays on YouTube! For the 5th and the 6th, I couldn't find gameplay online, but I have the DS version once more, and guess what? Finally, with the 7th one, I can see some changes in the DS version. You use the DS in this way. Whoa! But I suppose the background is a bit more different this time, right? And finally, there are the 3 last Pachinko games, which are the PS3 ones. And guess what? They are just like the other ones, but a bit more shiny. What did you expect? Can I finally go now?
アルバリエン、よくやったよ。残念ながらあなたは手放すにはあまりにも貴重です。理由は言えない。まだ早すぎる。それに携帯電話のゲームはまだカバーできるんですよね。おっと、嘘をつきました。今すぐ始めましょう。
Listen here.
何してるんだ。いいえ。やばい、困ったもんだ。
アルバリアン、大丈夫ですか？これで元に戻すことができます。ポスターは敗北しました。
Change is definitive.
ああ、大変。
Actually, no, it was a prank.
やったー。
Oh, I'm finished. Now, we finally reached the end of this journey. And what are we at? Like 2 hours? Yeah, I guess something like that. I'm tired. I don't actually know what to say, like I'm going off script, but Mayura seems tired too, so like... I have made my 2 hours video, you have got my 2 hours video, which is like very, very cool indeed. Like, I know this mask, nobody has done this on YouTube, I'm the first one! I don't have any outro for this, like I think Evangelion is definitely a weird franchise if we're talking about the games that it has, something like that. This is the moral of the thing. Like, have I had fun? Yes. But anyway, stop, I want to end this thing right here. But since now I finished this video, I'm going to finish Metroid Prime 1. Let's game. Persona!
Only one left.